I'm wondering, something I observe, it seems like there's a difference between people who approach the field of counseling who come from like a hard science background like you do versus people who come from the humanities. They seem to have a different approach, and it seems to be a lot more rigor and kind of appreciation for good research. Do you see that difference in yourself coming from that different background?
Yeah, I would say so because at least when I did that conversion course, the master's degree, my best module was research methods. So I really liked looking at how to design experiments, how to evaluate research, and say like, it's easy to look at an abstract and say we found that or our findings suggest that. But when you actually dig into it, you have to realize every experiment has its limitations, and the experimenters are biased, of course, in their own way. And some of them admit this or not. But they're trying to get funding, they're trying to get published, they're trying to get jobs, and these are all dependent on them getting research that gets published. But it's, our responsibility as the consumers of that research to say what have they actually said or not said, and what are the boundaries of that. So yeah, I do see that the hard sciences bleeds through a bit there, but also, yeah, it's a really good complement to
Hmm.
what it means to be in the room with a client, because I think that's the best part of being a researcher practitioner, which is a phrase we use a
Hmm.
lot over here. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
I guess the researcher element, I'd had that training and it was just flipping it to the humanities, but the practitioner part is really the fresher part and really trying to grow that.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre reading a lot of the research in counseling because you'll read the abstract or something and it'll sound so definitive. Our research shows blah blah blah, and then you kind of flip through the methodology and it's like the sample size was 7 people. You're
Yeah.
like, you were so confident.
Yeah.
It's hard to read a lot of this research.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get the motivation, but unfortunately, because not just in research, but with news generally, it's all about the headline. People often just read the headline and move on. And I think research is kind of similar. I mean, you might even be doing your own work as a doctoral student, and you need to have a paper to support something you've already said, and you just kind of say, "Oh, that looks about right, put it in." So there are certain areas where it's permissible, but at some point you've got to be honest with yourself and say, I've got to engage with this literature on a deeper level, certainly when you're doing your own research, because it's quite easy. And I didn't know this until I started the doctorate. Some ideas just propagate because people don't question the assumptions before that. And I think that links to the whole replication crisis to some degree. People just
Hmm.
assumed it was true, kept going, kept going. Then selection bias, they just keep like stating the same thing over and over. And then you look at the foundations and you're like, oh, we can't actually replicate this. So yeah, I think it's a really important skill.